Hey Sarah, it's lovely to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for coming along to have a little chat with me. This is very exciting. And I feel like we're true Insta friends, aren't we? Because we met up for a drink, didn't we, a couple of weeks ago. So I feel like it's real life, progressed from Instagram to real life, which is just so exciting.
Yeah, oh, it is, isn't it? I love that. I've made so many wonderful connections on Instagram. It's social media definitely does serve its purpose when you use it in like that really intentional, nourishing way. You can make these connections. You're like, wow, there's like so many people out there like me with the similar interests, and yeah, it feels really like a community, doesn't it?
It feels really good, yeah, like you say, when it's used in the right way. And I've definitely felt like, and I don't know whether it's just because that's kind of naturally the circles that I'm in, but I always find women and like women doing their own projects and running small businesses just like the most supportive space. I can't even tell you, on Instagram and Facebook everyone's just like, that sounds amazing, do you want to chat, let's talk about what we can do, this is my friend, she can help with this. It's just like that whole stereotypical like 90s vibe of like competitive women is just so not a thing in my experience. It's just such a warm space. And anyway, I've gone off on one, but yes, this is the perfect example of that, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, it definitely isn't that that vibe, that 90s vibe.
No, exactly. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do? You are magical and messy.
I am, yes, I am magical and messy. I'm thinking I might swap it up for the new year.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I feel like newness is coming in, but the ethos behind it that isn't, well, it doesn't change. I suppose the core values of it are, it's about finding magical moments in the messiness of life, because sometimes things feel messy, don't they? And they don't feel like they make sense, and you maybe find it difficult to connect to something that feels magical. And I suppose magical and messy for me, it was really about finding the magic even in amongst that chaos, almost like creating in the chaos, being in the chaos, feeling into like the magic in the messy moments to create more magical moments, and just, yeah, be witness to a bit of messiness, because we've all got some, and it's okay.
I love that. The whole, yeah, the whole name and the whole vibe definitely just speaks to me. It's like, it's so authentic. It's like, we're not, no one's pretending here to be perfect and squeaky clean. We're all messy. It's all
Yeah,
chaos. We're all busy. Um, yeah, it's really cool. I love that.
yeah.
So how did you get into what do you do? What do you offer people? What do you offer women or busy women? And how did you get into that? Because it's really fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, so I worked in corporate from the age of 17. I'm a classic. I worked my way up the apprenticeship ladder. Um, I did loads of development. I was like really keen and eager, and I was really successful in my corporate role. But by the age of 23, I'd successfully got a senior management position. I'd managed like business and development teams, training and performance. So it was really like go getting, wanted to achieve what I wanted to achieve in like,
Nick.
yeah.
Yeah.
And from the outside looking in, like I looked like I had it all. Like I had I managed to secure a mortgage. I had a lovely house. I had a lovely car. I had well, I'm still married, but I had like my relationship. I was engaged at the time. You know, like when you think all the boxes are ticked.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never, ever felt like fulfilled. And at the core of it, you know, we've going back to like women, I used to look around me and I supported and I managed and I coached and mentored lots of women in my role in that position. And I never felt like, I always questioned, how can women fit in this system? How do we exist in this system? How does it nourish us? It just never, yeah, I just thought like, it looks like I've got it all, but it feels like I haven't got it all. So I really set myself back on a mission. So another deep rooted reason why I wanted to be so successful from a business perspective and so driven was to gain approval from my family, which did lead me down a path of severing ties with them because it was no good for my mental health. So what happened is around that time, I'd done some personal development work called Springboard, which had been an instigator for catapulting my career, recognizing that I wasn't where I wanted to be, and finding that actually I wanted a deeper connection with myself. So I went for some counselling, some therapy, which really helped. And through that process, it really reconnected me back to my inner child, my inner young Stevie, who really wanted to make a difference in the world. And ultimately, I had left behind a whole practice of astrology, of crystals, of the moon, of being. And actually, when I looked back at that and thought about it, I always wanted to be in the development world, but always saw it in a corporate way. And I never quite understood how the two could gel together. So I kind of went on a journey. I committed to doing some more qualifications in the learning and development field, but it felt from a nourishing place because it felt like it was part of a bigger vision that I was holding for myself. And then I just held that space for myself with crystals, moons, cards, astrology, kind of diving back into all of that to really nourish myself and ultimately, make the steps to where I am today of that reconnection back to myself. So that's how it all happened.
Oh, it's so powerful. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that journey. And I love this idea of just really taking your time and, like you say, holding that space and just figuring out a little bit more about yourself, at the core, because it's so easy, isn't it, to get caught up in the day-to-day life and achieve the next thing. What's the next thing? Okay, I've got that. What's the next thing? And it's sometimes we forget to just take a step back, look at the bigger picture, figure out actually who am I and what do I want? And I think that will resonate a lot, bringing it back to kind of mums specifically within the kind of Tassie group. That's so common. I mean, for women especially, but for mums just to go, wait a minute, who am I again? What's my thing? What's at the core of what I am and what am I into? And how can I, like you say, marry up those two things as well, isn't it? You've got all the experience that you've got in development and corporate stuff. And then this kind of truer version of yourself, and you're finding a way to bring those together, which is really cool.
Yeah. And the Springboard development program, bringing it back to women, I did that when I was 20. And obviously I was in a group of women, and I was with women of retirement age. I was with women my age, new moms that had children, leaving for university. So I think being held that space, that opportunity, which I had to do that program, I got opened up to quite quickly women at different phases of their lives and recognizing that. And I think I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity, because when I went into the leadership roles and supporting people, at the very core of it, I always kind of questioned and could see things, maybe not always necessarily understand them, but see things from a woman's perspective. And then actually being a woman myself and thinking, how do I navigate these worlds if people are struggling in that sense, to find themselves? And I was really open to all those different situations that women naturally are on that cycle of life, because we're so cyclical, aren't we? And that kind of marries up with the moon, our menstruation, going through the menopause, all these cycles that we naturally are. I'm forever thankful for that. I just think women are super women. I just think you're amazing.
Yeah, it's so true. I feel the same. We really are powerful, magical, natural beings. I think women in particular, I mean, humans always are part of nature, aren't we? It's funny when people say about going into nature or connecting back with nature. It's well, we are nature. We are physical beings. Anyway, women are more so, aren't they? Because we create life and we are cyclical and all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm always fascinated by this stuff, but to be honest with you, I've only ever kind of dipped my toe in. I know I've spoken to you about this before, but I've never fully embraced it. So if there's people like me out there who are like, I love the idea of this stuff, but I'm not quite sure where to start, or how do I find out more? So talking about either like the moon cycles, I know you do a lot with the moon, don't you? Or crystals or kind of astrology generally. What would you suggest are like a really easy, quick kind of first dip your toe in, something to try or something to look at, or something to kind of, that's not going to like overwhelm people, because it can be quite a complex thing, can't it? Especially the astrology stuff.
Yeah. I
Place?
really try with my services to make it, like practical, that you could really like implement it. And a lot of my content and that on Instagram, if I'm doing like an insight from an aspect from like where the planets are, they have these different aspects, I always try and put in there, this is what you can do during this time, because sometimes you see them and you're like, what does that mean? What can I do?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, so this is what's going on, but this is what it means for you on a practical level.
Today's a good day, like go and do a vision board, go and reflect
Yeah.
on what's not working well. And so I try and do it from that really practical perspective. And I think that's where a lot of my learning and development aspect comes in, because it's like, oh, it's great to know all this stuff, but like, what do you do with it? And I'm a doer. So my top tips would be for somebody that's like new to it, is like, don't put any pressure on yourself. When I work with women, I love to unlock like what your meaning is to the moon, and what it is that it means to you, what you're wanting to gain from that practice as well. I said to you, Sarah, I've worked with many mums, and one of the loveliest things which I've heard mums do as part of their moon practice, and not being a mother myself, but just hearing it from people who I've worked with, was because you go online, don't you, and you see like spells and rituals, and you're like, oh gosh, how am I going to do? I've got to make a crystal grid and go and howl under the moon and
Yeah.
and put the kids to bed and make sure I've got stuff ready for tomorrow, and how am I going to get this in?
Put the crystals out to moon bathe. Yeah, don't get the two mixed up.
So it can be really difficult. And one of the top tips that they did was they actually introduced it with their children, which I think is pure. I get goosebumps actually thinking about it. Purely magical itself was just gaining the moments, obviously getting their journal out for themselves. But if it's one of those nights and things aren't working out, and times run away with you and you're thinking, oh, I've just got no chance for this, actually sitting on the windowsill with their kids and talking about so the new moon is all about dreams and visions.
Oh, nice.
So making that practice to share it with their children and ask their children what their dreams and visions are, creating that sacred space for them.
That's really sweet, isn't it? I love that.
Yeah, just in a really like practical sense, because that's what new moon's about. It's about setting an intention. It's about allowing your inner world of visions and dreams to kind of brew up as you go into this waxing phase, which is around taking action. So I think the more we vocalize about what it is that we want to achieve, the more we talk about it, the more that we make space to talk about it, the more energy we draw into that. And whether you're doing that with your children, if you're just doing it, just like I always say to people, like, if the only thing that you can do is just look out your window and just say a whisper to her of what your intention is for that month, that's good enough. I'm conscious then if I was like breaking up.
Just glitched a little bit there. Woo, but I think we got your point. If at the very least, just be aware of when those moon cycles are, and use it to kind of hang those kind of aspirations on. That's really good, isn't it? And again, for the more kind of grounded, practical person, that's so relevant as well, isn't it? Because the idea of having those intentions and just giving them your energy, just thinking about them, talking about them, writing them down, that's in no other than just kind of purely logical, practical means a really powerful tool. So if you can just use this kind of cyclical kind of timing, just to hang that on, if nothing else, then that's a really powerful practice, isn't it?
Oh yeah, massively. And I think the important part is that, like, that follow-up part is where I think people lose that momentum of it. And that's why I created like my moon manifesting course, was because it's about actually like going away and implement it, and having something to implement it with, and having the confidence to really discover yourself, connect to yourself, be aware of yourself, and have that consistency in your practice to be able to do that. And like you said, Sarah, just yeah, having that space and being able to do it and recognize it is the first step. And then as the moon moves into, because the moon phase goes through 8 phases, and the ones that you'll typically see online, it's about like a new moon or the full moon, but there are phases in between that where you can harness down the energy to bring to life what it is that you want to manifest in under the moon, or discover about yourself under the moon. So the waxing crescent phase is very much about going to implement what it is that you've asked for. So, you know, is it like reprioritizing things in your life, speaking to other people more about what you want to do, looking for new opportunities? It's about really going out there and doing it.
I love that. And when you work with people, when you work with women or mums or whoever you work with, when you're using these kind of astrological kind of concepts to help
Yes.
you do things, does that look like career things, personal things, family things? Is it a mixture of both? What do you find people like to use these concepts for in their lives?
So you're really lucky. So in terms of when you work with the moon, you can work with the moon and astrology on so many levels. So you can do it on like a really basic level, which is what I do in my moon manifesting course, and I'm going to be like adding some additional ones onto that just to get like to the crux of it. So you've got like a routine of what you want and like how you can implement it. Then on top of that, when you look then at the astrology behind it, the zodiac represents, so that's like Cancer, Taurus, Scorpio energy, which we cyclically go through each month. You'll have a new moon. So the new moon, if it's in April it's Aries month. It will always be a new moon in Aries. But then the full moon that month will either be Scorpio or Sagittarius. It depends, because there's 13 moon cycles in a year. So sometimes you get 2 of the same sign. So when you have the theme, so like, because Aries, I've gone with that example, if the new moon is in Aries, it's actually like the new year in terms of like the start of it. And traditionally, that's when we used to celebrate New Year, and then it was only through society it changed back to January. And I never understood why we did things in January when it's winter.
That's really fascinating. And
yeah,
again, it makes so much sense, doesn't it?
yes,
Yeah. Winter, it doesn't feel particular. Yes, if it's springtime, it's new, shoots of flowers are springing up and baby lambs being born and things are new and fresh. That does make more sense, doesn't it? When you put it like that.
Yeah, so that's almost like your beginning of your new year when you work with the moon. You'll work from like April to April, and then each of those zodiacs, like I was saying, like the Aries, it's about, Aries is I am energy. So it's I am like passionate. This is who I am. This is what I want to do. It's a fire energy. So it's like really like going forward. So it's taking you somewhere as well. It's a cardinal sign. So that means it's moving forward. And that's like the kickstart to the year.
Oh, we're glitching again.
Oh,
we're back.
That's the kickstart to the year. Now that would make sense, wouldn't it, to embody that energy for that year? Yes. So going back to your question, Sarah, on what you could use it for, you can use astrology and the moon for all aspects of your life. And then when you work with it with the cycles and the zodiac, the astrology intertwined with it, you'll actually have 12 themes around the year to look at your career, to look at money, to look at passions, organizational skills, home, boundaries. Yeah, like your whole life. allows you a time and space to think about everything that goes on as you as a whole.
I love that. I love that idea of having a year's kind of time frame, and like you say, going through each of those. Like, imagine yourself in a year's time thinking, I could have worked through every aspect of my life, and just giving it a little bit of focus on each. That's really cool, isn't it?
Yes, yeah. That's why I absolutely love it. And the other thing I was just going to say, so yeah, the new moon is in the month that the zodiac starts, and then the full moon, that's another indicator for you of when to celebrate. Is the full moon is roughly about 6 months later in that same sign. So if you set intentions on a new moon in Aries, the full moon in Aries will be about 6 months down the line, and it's at that point you review and celebrate your intentions and what it is that you've achieved. It's not like, because sometimes when I work with people, they're like, oh, I only did that last month and like nothing's happened.
Yeah. No, that's again, that's a good like halfway. You can do a lot in 6 months. Now, Stevie, talking about messy lives, busy mums, what can you offer us in terms of things that are soothing or calming or de-stressing, things like that? What practices have you got within the kind of astrology and crystals and things like that might just offer us a little bit of that energy? Just kind of bring us back down a little bit.
Yeah, so definitely moon gazing is really good for you, because you're out in nature, so automatically 10 minutes just out in that space is going to reduce your blood pressure, your stress levels. You're going to really ground into yourself. And whether it's cold, you could do it through your window, you could go outside in your garden and do it, or just you could do it anywhere. It really helps like for your mental health, and that it gives you like a connection to something greater than you. And I think it gives you like that bird's eye view, and we can all spare, can't we, even 5 minutes just to go and do that.
Yeah, that's so powerful. I often think, I mean, I named my daughter after the stars and stuff, so I feel really connected to like when you have one of those big clear skies when you can see all the stars, it is just like, I just find myself like frozen. I can't move. I'm just like, whoa. I find the same with a big sea view as well. If you've ever got like a vast sea view, I find myself just mesmerized. Like, you can't help but look, can you? You're just like, that's huge, that's amazing. And it is that thing, isn't it, of humbling yourself and connecting to like the planets and nature on a vast scale. I find it so powerful. Yes, we're like this all the time, and we're looking down and we're on the computer and we're scurrying around, or we're driving and we're doing this. And actually sometimes just like taking a step back and looking upwards is just so powerful. So I love that advice. Sometimes I even sleep with the curtains open. Like if it's a really clear night, I just sleep with the curtains open so I can look at the stars. It's so nice.
So lovely. Yeah. And you think ancestors, our ancestors, we had all like no electrical light. They would just be under there. Could you imagine like how you must have felt if you like seeing it different Milky Ways and different things going on in the sky? Because the planets move around. The planets move around. Could you imagine like how connected they must have felt to something so vast that they couldn't? And it must have felt quite scary at times, because the light pollution now, we don't have the beauty of being able to see all of it. So that's definitely my top tip. My other top tip for crystals would be, if you've got crystals and say you've set your new moon intention, you've like, right, this is what I want this month. Maybe I just want more time and space for me to think. You could do like a really simple grid in your shower or bathing area, and you could just place your crystals. So you could just do it as like 4 points, or if you've got 2 crystals or 1 crystal, it's absolutely fine. But then you could use it to then, whilst you're like in the shower or having a bath, just doing your morning routine, think about your intention.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah. Because I mean, definitely showers particularly are often places where people like, it washes all the sort of faff away, doesn't it? And you can like think a bit clearly. Like you hear so often people have like good ideas in the shower, don't they? So like, oh,
yeah. So you could definitely do that. Yeah, so you can program your crystal. So to program your crystal, you could do it with the new moon, like saving time again. If you were gonna like go and just have like a whisper under the moon, you could just program your crystal to say, no, I this month I'm committed to setting myself more boundaries. I want to create more space and time for me, and that looks like boundaries, reprioritizing, and yeah, thinking about things that I can cleanse in my life. Things that I can cleanse in my life.
Yeah.
And yeah, then you can just step into the shower with it each and every day, which is just part of your routine. I also say to people, when you're brushing your teeth, it's 2 minutes as well to think about how you're setting up your day, what you want. And you can even have your crystal with you just on there and hold it whilst you're brushing your teeth.
I love that. We're all for finding those like really easy ways of just slotting things into day-to-day life. Just like, that's my whole thing, like quick wins, easy ways to like add this to the routine. So that is brilliant. Thank you. I've got a few crystals, and like I said before, I don't really know what I'm doing with them, but often me and my daughter will just play with them. We'll just look at them and like look at all the colours and the patterns and stuff. So it's just a very nice kind of calming ritual anyway, isn't it? Just to feel them and be with them. So that's nice. Stevie, what have you got for us as a little, either like a challenge or a little test the water and kind of something for us to try?
So for your challenge, definitely the new moon is actually coming up on Saturday, the 4th of December.
Okay.
So new moon, or if you're rewatching this on rewatch, you can check in when the next new moon is. And yeah, through that new moon, you can, because I always pop it in on my things on Instagram. I do like astrological updates for each month. So if you're wondering when it is, you can always check there. But yeah, so it's the new moon. So on the next new moon that you're here with, I would, to challenge you to set an intention that you want to bring in, and then think about how you can embody that intention each and every day up until the next moon cycle.
That's great. Okay. Yes, I love that because it's powerful, but it's simple. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have a think about that, and I will film and see how I get on with that. So where can people find you, Stevie, if they want to come and find out more and they want to follow and find out when all these timings are throughout the cycles? How can people get in touch?
Yeah.
If they want to work with you on a more like one-to-one basis.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, so you can find me at Magical and Messy on Instagram. My freebie each year is a moon diary, and it includes the dates of the new moons and the full moons for each year. And it will also be including from this point forward some card spreads as well for Mercury retrogrades, and which is a time of review and reassessing. It's not a bad time.
It has a bad rep, doesn't it?
Yes, yeah, it does.
Right. Everyone goes, oh, anything bad that happens, it must be the retrograde.
Yeah. And Mercury retrograde is just the planet of communication, of transport and travel, and generally things tend to break around that time. Like Instagram went down, didn't it, in October? That was like any astrologer's dream. For that to happen as proof that Mercury retrograde does exist. Yeah, and like eclipse season, so when the moon eclipses and the sun eclipses, some card spreads which you can do. So if you own like oracle cards or tarot cards, or if you don't, they're just journal prompts which you can use. So I've got that which you can use, and I do offer loads of good stuff on my Instagram, which is at Magical and Messy. You can work with me. Like I've mentioned in this, I've got my moon manifesting course. So if it is something that you want to expand upon, because I haven't touched on all 8 phases of the moon, we've just kind of focused on that new moon and taking action bit today. We explore all of those and how you can really implement that into your life. You can also work with me one-to-one looking at your astrology charts. It might be just a particular area of your life that we'll focus in on, and it'll help gain clarity. It'll allow you to get guidance, and it also gets you to have a really deep connection with yourself, your soul, your purpose, and what you truly desire and what you want to do, and how you can really bring that to life and those soul strategy sessions. So we'll just focus on one area. That's like a half-day session with me, and then I also do one-to-one astrology coaching, which looks at your whole natal chart. The moon phases will also trigger different things in your chart. So when you were saying around that personal development, so we look at what it means specifically for you, how that works, yeah, ultimately using it as something to develop yourself with. To normally the people that I work with they're wanting to create something in their lives that makes them feel fulfilled and confident, feel like they're giving back to the world, that they're trying to gain like confidence in themselves to really go for those things and like bring their dreams into their reality.
I think it's lovely. I'm so pleased for you that you went on that journey and you found this way to like do work that's so important. And you know, anything that helps people is just so valuable, isn't it? And you're helping people really like go inwards and find that clarity and that purpose, which is just so beautiful. So thank you so much for explaining a little bit about what you do. It's such a vast topic. I'm aware that it's like, ooh, you could just go into so much detail, couldn't you? So thank you. And then you
because I'm just thinking now, Sarah, of like other things that I could talk about around like motherhood and the moon, but
tell us about motherhood and the moon, please do.
So it's interesting. So your moon sign, this is another cool topic. So your moon sign is like who you are mostly at home. So if you're a mom, you're really likely to embody your moon sign. So you can find out your moon sign if you got your time, location and date of birth. You can go online and just get a birth chart calculator, and you'll get your rising sign, which is like the role that you're meant to fulfill in life whilst you're here, your sun sign, which is like how kind of you display yourself, and your moon sign, which is like your inner emotional world, but it's mostly played out at home. Your moon sign, you'll be more like your moon sign at home than you are
like your deep, almost like your truer, deep, like when you're most comfortable.
Yes.
Kind of,
yeah. So as a mom, it's quite good because the moon's, if you think like your sun aspect is really shone out and the moon aspect can be a bit darker, you gain a really great fulfillment when you really understand your moon sign, because I think it's mostly connected to like your mental health, your well-being, because it's what really nourishes you. It's what makes you feel mothered, cared for, looked after. And at home sometimes we can like really be like our truest selves, can't we?
It's so interesting you say that, because my moon sign is quite different to my others. So I'm a double Leo in sun and rising, and then I've got Capricorn as my moon. It's quite an interesting mix, but I love that. It's nice, isn't it, to be aware of that. And you know, the other thing I need to do is my daughter's 3.5. I've not really properly looked at her chart at all. I know she's a Cancer, like sun. But I need to look at her full chart, because that might be interesting. Mine's it like that kind of mother and child, like, can you work with the charts that way and kind of work out like maybe ways of communicating or ways to be around each other and stuff?
Yes, you can. So your moon in your chart will represent your mother. And you could do a lot of inner child work, and that's why I said it's really important that you honor that aspect of yourself. So for you, Sarah, with you being a Capricorn moon, Capricorn loves like success. It loves to do really well in its career. It's a natural leader, Capricorn energy. And that's what it wants to fulfill. So for you, like a really important aspect of working with your moon sign is really like allowing yourself to feel into like your success and your leadership for you, a way that feels really good for you, like it aligns with you, something that you want to achieve personally for yourself and not for anyone else, with Capricorn energy. So that's really important aspect there. But so wherever your moon falls in your chart represents how your mother was with you, and what you need at home. But your child's moon chart will represent you for them.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's so interesting, isn't it? Oh my God, I'm going to go straight on and have a look.
Yeah, so it can and there's different houses in there, so like I'm just using this as an example because it's
Yeah.
the one that stands out for me the most when I've looked at readings, or even through
Oh,
or even through
okay.
my astrology teachings.
Mm.
There we go. Even when I've been like to my astrology lectures and that, this is something that's, because it's kind of like relatable, or not relatable, but you can like understand it. So the 10th house represents your career,
Okay.
and if a moon is in the 10th house, it means that the mom is could potentially want to fulfill their vision of their career through their child.
Interesting. Hang on, I need to note this down. 10th.
I mean, obviously, there's so many
Oh,
different elements to
fascinating.
it, but that's like a
Oh,
one that you can like really apply. Yeah. So a
right.
moon
So that
in the
10th house is
yeah,
like career. So
yeah,
if your moon sign is
of
in
your child,
your child's, yeah.
you could maybe have a tendency as a mother to want to fulfill like your career aspects or their life through your child.
Yes, because sometimes, I mean, that is quite common, isn't it?
Yeah,
Sometimes, you know, the pushy parent thing, and like, I don't know, I did violin, I was a failed violinist, so I'm going to make my child do violin lessons or whatever. I'm making it up, but yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, yeah,
Wow. Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to
So
go Google my mum's birth chart. I'm going to go Google my daughter's birth chart.
yeah, and you'll identify that within that, like the cycles.
Yeah.
And that's what it can really help with, like that. That's what I was saying to you, like when you attend to like your moon sign, you're really giving yourself like that deep need. So like a moon in Taurus ultimately, and don't forget, so the moon's like the darker aspect of the sun, so you
Yeah.
might not feel like, oh, can I do it? But Taurian energy loves luxury, it loves beauty, it loves like adoring itself in beauty, like just being really open to luxurious, like the more luxurious the better. Taurus is all about money and beauty, it's ruled
Yeah.
by the planet Venus. So if you've got a Taurus moon, you might have a really like deep desire for lovely luxurious things but there might be other aspects in your chart that don't allow it to come out. And I think that's why I'm such like a moon lover, because it's so like deeply ingrained. If you nourish yourself from that aspect, like mother it, give it what it needs, and actually think, if you're like a Taurian moon, like I really like expensive things in my home and I accept that and I'm okay with that and I'm going to allow more of that in, you will feel so much more fulfilled, enriched, because that's what you need on like a really instinctive level. It's like a mother and a baby.
That's so interesting, isn't it? I mean, anything that's awareness, anything that's self-awareness is got to be a good thing, isn't it? And then
Yeah.
you can either lean into it or you can make adjustments in your life or whatever it is. Just
Yeah.
that kind of inner exploration.
Yes.
And kind of using these things just as triggers or just as like prompts to do that exploration, isn't it? It's like, well, you might even that, if you find out that you're a Taurus moon or whatever and you think, oh, okay, well, that's about that, it just gives you that prompt, doesn't it? Like, well, am I like that? Let me just think about that. Let me just like touch base with myself and kind of figure out what I really want. So I love that. I love that it just offers you the time to and the prompts to look at yourself and your needs and your desires. Very cool.
And I love that. And I always say with astrology, you should never look outside of yourself for answers. But what I know to be true that astrology does, and the way I teach astrology, is it will lead you back home. It will always lead you back to yourself, ultimately, and to gain some acceptance and trust, you know, in those like instincts that you've got where you feel like, is this me? Isn't it me? It helps you gain clarity and welcome more of those parts in of you rather than burying them down and playing out a role that you think you should be doing. It really allows you to embrace all of you, and whether they're aspects of yourself that you're not really comfortable with or aspects that you really love of yourself, you can like merge the two together to feel at home.
I love that. What a gorgeous message. Yeah, just feel at home. Self-acceptance, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah.
This is who I am. This is what I like. This is what I need. Which
Yeah.
it's yeah. If you can like have your feet firmly on the ground and accept who you are, then that's a really, really kind of powerful position to be in. And a lot of people don't find that until quite late on, do they? Especially women don't find that until quite late on in life, I find. I was talking to my nan the other day. I was having a really lovely conversation actually with my mum and my nan, her mum. And they were talking about how they didn't really feel like they found their kind of inner confidence. And my nan was saying, I didn't really feel like I kind of knew myself until well into my 40s. And I was like, God, really, Nan? It's amazing, isn't it? And I think that's quite common. So yeah, any tools like this that can help people get to that and get back to themselves, like you so beautifully said, is just lovely. So all for it, Stevie.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I've loved it. As you could tell, I could talk about it for
Well, look, we'll get you back on sometime. We'll do something else. We'll do some Insta lives or something, and kind of maybe pick out some of those key astrological dates and see if there's something that we can do like that. That might be quite fun, hey?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care of yourself. Take care of that gorgeous puppy, and I'll see you very soon.
See you. Bye.
Bye. Now look, I'm gonna be real. I'm straight up cheating here. The problem is with filming a challenge, moon gazing, is that it's quite difficult to film in the dark. So what I'm doing is I've provided for you visually a little video here of our beloved moon. So I invite you, just for the next couple of minutes, is just to take this opportunity to pretend that we're moon gazing together. Use this as a reminder to do some real moon gazing, because I promise you, looking at the real moon outside is going to be a whole lot better than looking at the screen. But just use this as a little reminder or a little dress rehearsal. So let us just drop the shoulders, release some tension, maybe take a couple of deep breaths, and just think about the moon, the nature. Think about everything that Stevie's just told us. Think about our intentions. What are you going to do for you? What are your intentions? What are you putting out there to the universe? What are you going to put that out there to the moon? What are you going to promise yourself? Just take this time to enjoy 30 seconds apiece before we go back to the real world. And then do let us know if you go and do some real moon gazing as well. We'd love to hear more about that. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to leave you to enjoy this last little snippet of the moon. And I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye.